What if the greatest love story in modern C-drama history didn't end when the cameras stopped rolling, but only began in silence? For 2 years, the world watched Soo Kai and Tan Songyun cross red carpets, attend promotions, smile politely for interviews, and walk past each other as if nothing extraordinary bound them together. And yet, fans kept asking the same quiet question, the kind that refuses to disappear no matter how much time passes. Why did something that felt so real vanish so completely from view? Right now, right before the next revelation, is your chance to stay connected. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another powerful story, another shocking twist, or another unforgettable journey. This is not a story of confirmed facts or official statements. This is a story of whispers, timing, patterns, and the unspoken rules of an industry where love is often the most dangerous secret of all. Because sometimes, the most surprising reason two stars hide their love is not scandal. It is survival. When Soo Kai and Tan Songyun first shared the screen, something shifted. It was subtle, almost easy to miss if you weren't looking closely. Their chemistry wasn't loud. It didn't beg for attention. It lived in pauses, in restrained glances, in the way scenes seemed to breathe more slowly when they stood face to face. Viewers felt it immediately, not as excitement, but as recognition. This wasn't manufactured spark. It felt lived in. And that was the first problem. In the Chinese entertainment industry, chemistry is celebrated only as long as it remains fictional. The moment audiences begin to believe it might be real, everything changes. Contracts tighten. Management grows cautious. Publicists start rewriting narratives before they can write themselves. For Soo Kai, the timing could not have been worse. His career was accelerating at breakneck speed. Every role was shaping a carefully constructed image, disciplined, focused, available in the abstract way idols are expected to be. Romance, especially one not approved or marketable, was not just personal. It was professional risk. For Tan Songyun, the stakes were different but no less heavy. She had fought long and hard for credibility beyond labels and stereotypes. Any hint of an off-screen romance tied to a co-star risked reducing her work to gossip, her talent to footnotes beneath headlines she never asked for. So, if something real existed, it would have arrived at the worst possible moment. And that is where the silence began. Those 2 years were not filled with grand public gestures or dramatic denials. Instead, there was something far more telling. Absence. No playful fan service. No suggestive interviews. No shared variety appearances designed to feed speculation. When their paths crossed publicly, they were careful, professional, almost guarded. To some, it looked like nothing. To others, it looked like restraint. Insiders often say that the most genuine relationships in the industry are the ones you never see. Not because the stars are ashamed, but because they understand the cost. Once a story becomes public, it no longer belongs to the people living it. It becomes content. It becomes expectation. It becomes pressure. And pressure is where love quietly breaks. There is also another layer fans rarely consider. Protection does not only mean hiding from the public. Sometimes it means protecting each other from becoming collateral damage. A single rumor can reshape casting decisions. A single photo can ignite fan wars that neither person has control over. In an environment where every move is dissected, staying invisible can be an act of care. 2 years is a long time to hold a secret. Long enough for feelings to either deepen or fade. Long enough to test whether what exists can survive without applause. If Soo Kai and Tan Songyun chose silence, the surprising reason may not have been fear of discovery. It may have been a quiet question they needed answered first. Is this real when no one is watching? Because hidden love in the spotlight is not about sneaking around. It is about choosing stillness in a world that demands performance. It is about deciding that some things deserve to remain unconsumed. And maybe that is why, even now, there is no dramatic reveal. No confirmation. No denial strong enough to end speculation. Just time passing. Careers evolving. Lives moving forward. Some stories are never meant to be proven. They are meant to be felt, remembered, and left untouched. And perhaps the most surprising reason Soo Kai and Tan Songyun may have hidden their love for 2 years is because in an industry built on illusion, the only way to keep something real was to keep it invisible. And yet, the silence itself began to speak. Because while public appearances faded, patterns quietly emerged. Fans noticed how questions about ideal partners were suddenly answered with careful neutrality. How interviews that once brimmed with warmth grew more measured whenever names were mentioned. How certain songs, certain lines, certain pauses felt weighted with something unspoken. In the world of celebrity storytelling, coincidence is rare. Timing is everything. 2 years is not just a waiting period. It is a threshold. It is the length of time it takes for a fleeting spark to either burn out or turn into something enduring. And for those who believe there was something real between Soo Kai and Tan Songyun, those 2 years were not empty. They were intentional. They were a test against distance, against silence, against the relentless noise of an industry that feeds on revelation. Another surprising truth lies in the power structures behind the stars. Actors do not move freely. Every step is negotiated. Every public image is a shared asset between agencies, brands, investors, and broadcasters. A relationship that does not fit into a long-term strategy becomes a liability. And when two rising stars belong to different systems, with different expectations and trajectories, love does not only involve two people. It involves negotiations no one ever sees. Sometimes hiding is not about secrecy. It is about postponement, waiting for a moment when personal choices will not undo years of work. Waiting until contracts expire, images mature, and leverage quietly shifts back into the hands of the people living the story. And then there is the emotional cost. Love under scrutiny does not unfold naturally. It becomes performative or defensive. Every smile is analyzed. Every distance is questioned. Fans choose sides. Narratives are written without consent. For two people who value sincerity over spectacle, disappearing can be the only way to breathe. Those close to the industry often say that the hardest thing for actors is not fame, but the loss of privacy in moments that matter most.
Grief, joy,
Love. All flattened into headlines. All reduced to interpretation. If Soo Kai and Tan Songyun chose to step back from visibility, it may have been an attempt to reclaim something small but precious. Normalcy. A chance to exist without being watched. And then comes the most uncomfortable possibility of all. That hiding their love was not only about protecting it, but about giving themselves the freedom to let go if they needed to. Because public relationships rarely end quietly. They end in statements, in apologies, in blame, in permanent digital footprints that follow both people for years. Private relationships, however, are allowed dignity. They are allowed ambiguity. They are allowed to end without explanation. Silence, in this way, becomes a form of mercy. So when fans ask why there was no confirmation, no denial, no closure, the answer may be simpler than expected. Closure was never meant for the audience. It belonged only to the two people living the story. And maybe that is why this narrative refuses to settle. Because whether their bond survived those 2 years or gently dissolved into memory, the choice to hide it changed everything. It turned a possible romance into a legend shaped by restraint rather than exposure. In a world where celebrities are expected to give everything, withholding something becomes an act of quiet rebellion. And perhaps that is the final, most surprising reason of all. Soo Kai and Tan Songyun may have hidden their love not because they were afraid of the truth, but because they understood the power of keeping something sacred in an industry that turns everything into spectacle. Some love stories are not meant to be confirmed. They are meant to exist softly, briefly, or fiercely, away from the noise. And long after the rumors fade, it is the silence that lingers.